we're live. Okay, it says that we're live now. So this was the unexpected twist of the day. Is Lindy Li, the infamous Lindy Li from the interwebs.
David, I followed you yesterday saying I would go on your show. I don't think you saw it, though.
No, I definitely didn't see it.
I replied to you. I was like, I'd love to talk, and you never got back.
Well, I apologize. I didn't notice it until today.
I wasn't ignoring. I want to let you know I reached out like 12 hours. I can't remember, but like many hours ago last night.
Well, I assumed you just wouldn't. But here, I'm going to close this window.
No,
here. I assume you just.
I'm not your typical, political person. I'm always happy to have conversations.
And let me see. I'm going to make sure that we're good everywhere. I'm just going to get a word from my de facto producer. Are we good across platforms? Question mark. All right, everybody share the link because this is a brand new setup. I don't know. I think there might have been an issue with Rumble Studio in terms of okay, we're all here. Lindy, okay, well, dude, first of all, thank you because I would say I'm not brash. I think I might come off as an asshole on Twitter, but if anyone has ever deserved it, Lindy, you're gonna have to convince me why you don't deserve what you're the backlash that you're getting, threats, harassment, or whatever harassment is. Threats, no. Doxing, I don't know. You're a public figure. I listen to Lindy. So everybody sort of knows who you are, but just in case they don't, you've been a political Democrat operative for, I don't know how old you are. You're 35 years old.
Oh, I look that old.
Well, no, I just thought I was adding 10 years from the interview where you said you were 24 back in 2015 when you were doing an internship. I thought.
I'm 34.
Okay, fine.
I'm 34. Don't give me one extra year, though.
Well, don't worry about the one extra year. When you get to a certain age, years don't matter. You've been a Democrat operative for a decade.
Well, no, at this point, a decade ago, I was actually working for Morgan Stanley, so not quite a decade. I quit my job to run for Congress. So maybe I've been a Democrat for a decade.
Okay. Democrat for a decade. I've only known you from your wildly insane positions on COVID, which are everyone's going after you for COVID. That's the least of my issues with you.
I've actually, believe it or not, around 2 years ago, I've kind of reconsidered my views on COVID, which is why I stopped tweeting about it. And it really started with Novak Djokovic. I know it sounds so weird, but I'm a huge tennis fan. And after hearing his statements on the vaccine, I really started to reconsider.
For anybody in the chat who doesn't know, go look up Lindy Li on Twitter. You'll see you've been making the rounds now because you were on Glenn Beck, you were on with Sean Ryan, trying to come clean from the last 4 years of your life, which is unerasable. Despite I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. But let's get into. Changing your view on COVID is just shows that you might come to conclusions that are radically impacting people's liberties a little too flippantly. I'm just straight up asking you. You've been tweeting incessantly pro Kamala, pro Biden propaganda for damn near 4 years, as long as I can tell. How do you, in your interview with Sean Ryan, you had some evasive questions where you say like, who's paying me? Fox didn't pay me. Sean didn't pay me.
Oh, no one paid me for any of that.
But how have you been making a living for the last 4 years while you do this?
I hate to say this, but my we own a lot of real estate. We own a lot of real estate, and I help to run my family's tri-state real estate company. That's what I help to do. So, Frank, I don't need any money from super PACs or campaigns or the DNC. They've never paid me a single penny. In fact, I am a donor. By definition, I donate. My family has donated a lot. We've donated buildings, even a church to the Harris campaign. My family's Christian. We refurbished a church in Philadelphia. It's actually where the plane crash was. But yeah, so David,
so you don't, to be cynical, you don't get paid, but your parents are politically connected to the point where if you don't, when donating property to the Harris campaign, you can't get much more connected than that. I would presume.
I urge them to. At my urging, they are not political. My parents are not. They barely speak fluent English. They are not political people. They're not. I kind of feel bad for dragging them into this foray against their will almost. My parents are amazing. They didn't deserve any of this.
No, that much. So no payments. You're not one of the other kids. You can tell me if the Krasensteins get paid either directly from the campaigns or from PACs or the other guys.
I don't know why I don't know if they portray themselves as insiders, but I've never seen them at any events. I see
No,
Harry Sisson and that blonde guy that he's always with.
Beasley or Weasley.
Yeah, exactly. Chris something. Like these
Yeah,
people I've seen in person, like Aaron Parnas. I've never seen the twins. Are they twins?
I don't know if they're the Krasensteins are definitely twins. If they're
So
not,
they reached out to me a few months ago begging me to include them at an event with Harris without paying. I'm sorry, Brian, but it's the truth if you're listening. And I'm like, dude, you can't do that. It's a fundraiser. You have to, the definition of fundraiser is that you fundraise. But he wanted to get in for free.
okay, well, I mean, I want to flesh this one out. So you say, and I'm not going to call you a liar in that respect. I presume there would be receipts. You never got paid for the 4 years of activism that
Absolutely
you engaged
not,
in on
no.
Twitter. A
No, but
well-to-do
they
family.
did. I was on their mailing list. They would send out talking points on a daily basis.
Yeah, but so from your perspective, I mean, you're raising money for them, so you're not gonna. It's gonna be tough for you to raise money for the Kamala campaign if you're not tweeting out their talking points, which is another one of my questions as to whether or not you're drafting these tweets or whether or not you're in control of your own Twitter handle.
I wish I had. Oh, I'm in control of my own Twitter handle, but I wish I had a better explanation than I really enjoy Twitter and bought into it. I wish I had a better explanation than that.
Okay, so
it's nothing nefarious. There was no plot.
Well, but the plot is the one that you admit having engaged in, which is basically, undermining democracy by participating in the election.
I literally thought I was supporting democracy.
Well, I can appreciate that's the easy cop out, but when
But it wasn't, David. With all due respect, I sincerely thought I was supporting democracy. And it took me this has been a long time coming, but it took me a year to realize that perhaps the 2020 election was rigged, if not stolen, because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. At first, I've met people like Anthony Blinken, like these are the people that I see, on the social circuit. So when people like that tell me, people that I once revered, they tell me that the Hunter Biden laptop story is Russian disinformation, I took their word for it. Absolutely, I did.
That's fine and well in 2020. In 2024, you're still tweeting out about it. 2023, when by your own interview with Sean Ryan, by that time you knew that the Hunter Biden laptop story was real.
2024, what day?
2023, 2024. You had indicated, unless I'm mistaken,
I didn't realize that it was. I didn't realize that it was
that the
real
Hunter Biden
until,
laptop
like,
story was real.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
When did you realize that the Hunter Biden laptop story was true and accurate?
Sometime after the assassination attempt, when I really started to consider what the hell is going on right now. After the debate was really my moment when things were like, wow, I've been propping up. I've been propping up an emperor with no clothes. This is going to sound silly to you, but every night before bed, before election night, I would have a habit of just like reading New York Post articles and then finding that I actually agree with a lot of that stuff.
I'm just looking.
Slow evolution.
Not to be too cynical, I've got kids. The easiest thing for a kid to do is to lie to themselves and say, "I didn't know, I did it by accident." And I mean, it's like, and that's if that habit doesn't get taught out of kids, they grow up to be adults who lie to themselves very easily. Oh, I didn't know I was over the limit. And when you say like, "Oh, I didn't know that the Hunter Biden laptop story was authentic until after the assassination attempt." The New York Times confirmed it was accurate in 2022, and in 2024, you're still tweeting out nonsense.
I've criticized the New York Times, so I still to this day, I don't take them that seriously.
But the New York Post had confirmed it was authentic from 2020. So by the time you say you hadn't
reading the New York Post until this year, David, I don't know what else to tell you. I genuinely thought the Hunter Biden laptop story was fake.
Well, I can't get in your head. I can't get in your head and
this is just what I'm telling you.
I know.
And even to this day, this is all so hard. I feel like everything that I believed in all my life was kind of a sham. It's been really harrowing for me. And the main catalyst was the way that they handled all the money that I raised, which was like the floodgate to me examining everything else, you know? Like if they lied to me about this, if they lied to me about the state of the race, which they did, 2 weeks before the election, they told me in a room full of donors that Harris is going to win 3 to 4 battleground states. They said this. And then I find out after the election that they squandered our money and that Harris was never going to win. It was all a lie.
But
So when I realized they were lying about that, I was willing to reconsider other things. Because up until that point, I didn't really, you know, I kind of just bought into it. It's the people that I'm around. I live in Philadelphia, for goodness sakes. You know, this is just an extremely liberal, democratic environment. This is just what I knew. You know, I wasn't really afforded another option.
I'm following the chat as well. I'm going to try not to be too all over the place.
That's
not
fine.
that it,
I'm
not
all
that
over
it
the
matters.
place.
Well, not that it matters to me, but you said you don't speak Chinese, and I'm wondering if that's.
Yeah, I don't speak Chinese. It's
well,
like
but
at a
Chinese
level.
Chinese is not a language. It's Mandarin or Cantonese. Is this a semantic thing that you speak Mandarin or Cantonese?
So I'm assuming that they mean the clip online that's been floating around. Laura Loomer posted it.
Well, no, you said English was your second language with Sean Ryan. What was your first, or what is your first?
But I left China when I was 3. I went to England, and by that point, British English was my language. The clip that they're talking about, I don't even remember what I said, but it was something to like, thank you for having me. And I spent the rest of the clip speaking in English. My Chinese is extremely rudimentary. It's at a kindergarten level, but if the kindergartner is like failing out of class, it's just really bad. And for those who are not well versed, you can tell that my Chinese has a heavy American accent.
Well, do you speak? Is it Mandarin or Cantonese that your parents speak?
My parents speak Mandarin and very broken English, but my parents constantly tease me because I can't speak Chinese very well. Obviously, I know how to say hi, how are you? But that doesn't mean that I can speak the language, right? We can all say that in Spanish and Japanese, but none of us would claim to be able to speak that language. And I'm not really, I can't speak fluent Chinese. I can understand it, but I can't write it and I can't speak it. I speak at a very rudimentary level. It would actually be a lie to claim that I'm fluent.
No, that's fine, but fluent and not speaking are two different things, and to me, that's sort of
saying like "Hi, how are you" is different from speaking. That's not true. Like I can't speak Chinese, and for that particular event, I was coached to say "Thank you for having me."
I want to highlight something here. People, where was this chat here? People giving her a hard time for realizing she was wrong. No, actually, because being wrong is one thing. And Lindy, it's not, I've said things online, you know, sometimes I say things that I regret, sometimes. It's not just that you were wrong about backing the wrong horse. The things you've said on Twitter are not things that can be unsaid. Let me ask you straight up now. Have you been deleting tweets that use the word raped?
No, raped?
Raped. There's a screen grab where you say
I called
Trump
him
raped.
A rapist thug.
Okay, no, but I couldn't even find that. Have you deleted any tweets recently, or have you been deleting tweets
with the word raped? I have been deleting tweets, but I've been just deleting tweets en masse.
Yeah, well,
I've been deleting everything before. They just don't represent what I currently believe. Why do I want to have them hang around?
Well, but they don't represent what you currently believe. What you currently believe was as current as November 7th. I mean, and it goes even more recently than that. November 7th, 2024. I mean, like
I've been raising concerns about Biden's age and cognitive decline for years. This is
okay. So that's something you mentioned with Sean Ryan also, that I forget which outlet it was you were giving on, what's the name I'm looking for?
Fox News Sunday with Shannon Bream on July 21st.
Shannon Bream. No, but you were giving unattributed. What is it called when you give
Politico? Holly Otterbein, the national political reporter.
Yeah, what's her name? Holly Otterbein.
Holly Otterbein.
Otterbein.
She's out from Philly. That's how I know her, and that's how we developed rapport.
Okay.
And she would call me up and ask me about Biden, and I would give her an on. Sorry, I'm so tired. I can't even talk straight.
No. Well, I can appreciate it because you are. Well, I mean, I don't say you're not getting what you deserve, but you're certainly reaping what you sow. And I mean, I'm not going to show all your tweets on now, but when you complain about people defaming you, and you literally called a murdered woman a terrorist and Trump a rapist, and
wait, David. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah,
You're
perfectly.
going in and out, so I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Okay, no, I can hear
me
you.
fine?
Yeah.
I just want to apologize. I just humbly apologize, and I was wrong about so many things. Some things that I'm still, there are some things, there's one thing that I cannot waver on though. And that's the environment. I'm sorry guys, it's just something that I can't change my mind on. But on everything else, I've been re-examining a lot of a lot of my preconceived notions. Yeah, I was just wrong on so much. And I'm not above apologizing where I'm wrong. We can address.
Yeah, no,
Go
I'm saying
ahead.
that first of all, it is also tough to hear someone say, I'm sorry, categorically, unequivocally. And it's tough to fault them for that. Typically, you get, I'm sorry, but, or everybody.
Did I say but?
No, you didn't. That's
Okay.
right now was unequivocal apology. The question,
And I'll say it again in case I'm not mincing words. I'm sorry. I hope everyone who's skeptical of me, and I completely get it, I hope you guys realize that I'm a human being who makes mistakes, who makes errors of judgment, and I'm still evolving to this day. I bet I'll change my mind about other things, but I also want to say that you guys are stuck with me now. I'm in the conservative camp. I'm helping out with midterms already. I'm going to make sure that we expand our majority in the House. It's something that I'm already working on. And whether you like it or not, the conservatives are stuck with me, and I will be helping to make sure that we remain in power. So, but I am very sorry. I regret it. I regret it every single day.
You couldn't have, you can't regret it. It's been very few days since you've been regretting it, because some of these are as recent as this. I mean, last year, 2024. And but
David,
yeah.
I do want to say epiphanies can come all of a sudden. It doesn't have to come over a period of like 2 years.
No, that's true. But as
the way
to be
that
cynical,
they stole my money, that will wake you up.
Well, okay. Now, to give you, how did they? And this is where everybody fights about two things. Married couples fight about two things, one of which is money. Explain that. How did they?
It's my money. It's my parents' money. My friends' money. The way that they squandered it on these celebrities, on these 5-star hotels and private jets. The way they lied to us about it. Like, we didn't know until their expense reports were filed. They didn't tell us that they were doing this. They didn't tell us that they were paying celebrities to show up. If I had known in advance, I wouldn't have worked so hard to raise money for her. I just wouldn't have.
Well, okay, so
I feel like a little bamboozled.
Well, okay. Concretely, when did you find out that Kamala Harris was paying the celebrities who were
the same time the world found out, when the FEC report was filed days after the election, because they didn't have to do it until, FEC is like on a quarterly basis, and I ran for Congress, so I'm very familiar with the schedule. The report didn't come out until after Election Day. They cleverly withheld the information from us. And, my assumption is that they would spend money judiciously like any other campaign. But it was like and then I learned that $500 million went to just 4 well-connected firms, a lot of them run by Obama consultants.
But you can't, you not to be cynical. And again, I can, in my heart of hearts, know if I believe you or not. I won't call you a liar if I can't demonstrably prove that you're lying. We've seen how Bernie spent his money in 2020.
Oh, did you know that I went to war with Bernie?
I don't think that matters for now.
It does though, because I had nothing to do with Bernie.
No, I understand that. It's not a question of having to do with Bernie. It's a question of understanding how the money gets wasted. Bernie blew $200 million in 2020. Everybody knows how it was blown. Hillary Clinton blew $1.2 billion.
I attacked him because he's a socialist. I didn't attack him for his money. I wasn't aware that he squandered his money.
I'm going to address a couple things in the say. So you claim, or your position is, you had no
David,
idea that
I came to you today humbly with
no, absolutely. I'm not going to call you a liar on things that I don't have a way of knowing definitively. I'm very, very skeptical, and I'll say up front, forgiveness is one thing. Allowing someone who showed radically poor judgment to be in a position where they could act on such similar radically poor judgment, forgiving everybody who pushed the COVID shot back in the day is fine. But I would never allow them or trust them to be in a position of power again as relates to that, because clearly your judgment is off, your ability to reason and research is off, and your deference to authority is off. And so forgiveness is one thing. Offering a position where the person who showed terrible judgment in the past will do the same thing in the future, is a separate issue.
I'm not asking for any position, by the way.
No, I know, but you're you know, same where you're with the conservatives raising money now, and I'm not even with the conservatives. I just, you know, call like I see it. And I do wonder if there's an element of that on the conservative side that says, well, if you can raise, how much money did you raise for Kamala or Joe?
Tens of millions in total.
Over what period of time?
A year.
Oh, so when were you fundraising for Kamala? Only in 2024?
For 107 days. I was fundraising, you know, they switched up on us in the middle of the year.
Well, I mean, that was also, but
also,
so were you fundraising for Biden at all before they pulled him?
Yes.
Okay, so how long were you fundraising for either Joe Biden and or Kamala Harris?
About a year.
Not more than a year.
Yeah.
When did you know that Joe Biden was demented?
Around 2022. That's when I started raising concerns in the press.
Well, okay, so you mentioned that also. How can anyone verify that? Because the leaks or the I don't know what the word is. It's driving me crazy. But when you give unnamed, not whistleblowers.
I don't know how you can verify. You just read the articles, and there's always going to be someone in her article raising concerns.
Yeah, but
and from a young person's perspective,
would she confirm it was you at this point in time, Holly Otterbein?
I mean, you can ask her, sure.
Because the issue is, I'm listening to you on Sean Ryan. You're saying like I was, you know, I didn't give my name because I didn't want to get in trouble, but I was saying nothing that everybody didn't already know. So impossible to verify who is leaking what everybody already knows.
If you want to do that, feel free. Like,
no, honestly, I want to know, but I want to know if it's sincere. If it's, oh, I had my coming to Jesus moment after my team lost. Because when I
no, and there's another thing that I haven't said anywhere. The person in my life that I love the most is a Republican, a lifelong Republican. And he's not a public figure in any shape or form and doesn't deserve to be like dragged out here. But he certainly has had a tremendous influence on me. And that's, you know, I'm protecting him and bearing the brunt of, oh, she just did this on her own. It was a sudden shift. But being with someone and like existing with them and living with them for a period of like 8 years, 7, you know, it really shapes you. I just want to tell you that that's just the human element of it. Like when you love somebody, you kind of want to be on the same page.
So, but 2022, you start you confirm, you know that he's demented. You're purportedly.
No, I'm not sure if he's demented. Like I don't have any medical background. I just something like I didn't think he was capable. I wouldn't say that I thought he was demented. I would just say that he wasn't capable of running. That he's too old to run. But okay. I'm not qualified to make a diagnosis of dementia or anything like that. I'm just not.
No, I know, and not to be cynical, you defer to his handlers of doctors in the same way you defer to the Faucis to say everybody should get the vaccine and lock down if you don't want to do it. I mean, this is what I'm talking about in terms of like reasoning judgment, where you can forgive someone but not trust them with similar issues.
I'm not in a policy position. I'm not going to.
No. Well, that much I understand, but from my own perspective, from my sole perspective, is. You know, I do believe unfortunately, people say things that can't be unsaid. And it takes time. And, you know, the worse the thing that was said or done is, the more time it takes to reestablish the trust or prove the sincerity of the turnaround.
I know I have a lot to prove, but I'm just asking for a chance. And I hope that you don't rule off everyone, because if you rule off everyone, no one's going to come out of the cult, you know?
Well, no, but first of all, not everyone. Like people are not comparing you to Tulsi or JD Vance, but some people are saying, well, JD said things, you know, that Trump was a dictator, and there's thresholds. There's
I never called him a Hitler like he did.
No, you called him a terrorist, a rapist. Didn't call him
a Hitler though. That's the worst of it.
Well, so you think that Joe's loopy in 2022? I would say the rest of the world knew well before that. But then you still go and raise money. How are you raising? From whom are you raising millions and tens of millions of dollars?
I used to work for Morgan Stanley. By the way, I haven't slept, so at some point, I do
No,
have to go.
you tell me. I'm gonna push you as long as you can go, and then you'll tell me when you want to.
Okay, and we can continue this conversation, like I said. I told you before.
No, I know. I'm actually I'm not impressed. That's a condescending way of saying it. I'm surprised and optimistic that you actually come on to do this.
David, I know, like, because this is the first time we've ever spoken, and so and I also gave you more than you asked than I initially promised. Remember, I told you I was going to be in the dark. This is
I knew that I knew I was going to get that anyhow.
Give me credit for this, though.
Yes, well,
I don't have an iota of makeup on. This is me after 2 days of not sleeping, of crying all night. Like, my eyes are swollen right now, and I'm still doing this for you.
Well, my crowd doesn't care about makeup. In fact, I think they prefer people not to wear makeup. But
every time I have a video, it goes like everywhere, and I know that I'm like damaging my. Anyway, what I mean is I'm happy to continue this conversation too. It doesn't have to be the end all be all, but I want to engage. I'm willing to do the work to show you that I'm for real, and there's still a lot for me to learn. And I'm not. The truth, I wish, people think that I like planned this out and it's some like orchestrated campaign. At the end of the day, it's just me having hid my conservative side for years because it wasn't acceptable. It's not acceptable to be conservative in my circles. It's just not.
And I'm gonna say, I gotta tell you, like, this is a tendency that I noticed with Sean Ryan, with Glenn Beck as well, to try to portray yourself as a victim in this. It's gonna, first of all, it's gonna rub people the wrong way.
But I didn't say I was a victim. I'm not a victim.
Well, you say, I couldn't come out as a conservative because of people around me, but well, and I am imputing also what you talked about in terms of having a difficult childhood, and people are not forgiving people.
There are things there are things that I cannot say, absolutely cannot say, because I love the people involved, and it would seriously damage them. Can you respect that?
No, for sure. And I'm not gonna.
There are civilians who never made a conscious decision to be in the public sphere. I love them. I made a choice to protect them. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm vague on that score, but I'm speaking from the heart now. So when I tell you I had a terrible childhood, I did, but I can't go into specifics. Just on that score, just believe me. And I am sorry, I had nothing else to say on that. But what was your other thing? I'm not claiming to be a victim in terms of like, I can't be concerned. I'm just telling you that was just a prevailing atmosphere. Like, Jamie Harrison would ban people from events if you voted for Republican. For example, they rejected a donor because they donated to DeSantis in Florida. So it was a serious culling. If there was any sign of republicanism in your blood, they would purge you. This is not me claiming victimhood. This is me describing the atmosphere, okay? They had a lot of purity tests, and if you didn't pass, you wouldn't be able to belong. That's what I'm saying. David, I really hope you don't think I'm claiming victimhood. This is me just telling you what it's like.
I noticed. I'm also just telling you what I believe I'm observing from listening to various, the podcasts and some interviews, where when someone says like, I couldn't come out. Once upon a time, I asked a rabbi a question like, are you allowed eating unkosher if it's to save your life? And the rabbi says, you could eat the meat, but don't suck the fat from the bone. There's a difference between you not being able to come out with your conservative views and you coming out with years of the most vitriolic, partisan, dishonest nonsense, which doesn't seem to equate to your timeline of revelation. And you were not just sucking the fat from the bone, you were like rendering it down to make sure you got what was inside the marrow. So to say I couldn't come out with my conservative views because I grew up in Philly or it was either Philly or Pennsylvania, I forget which.
As a Democratic influencer, that's just what I had to do. That's just, I don't know what else to say. That's just how, that was my job to, produce content. And some of it I did believe. Most of it I did believe. And I'm sorry, that's what I believed.
Well, let me ask you two things here. What did you tweet that you didn't believe even when you were tweeting it?
That's what I said. Most of what I said was I believed it.
Yeah, but was there anything that you most means?
There's one thing that I felt really queasy about, but I was under pressure too.
What was
But
that
Joe
one thing?
Biden, on the night of the debate, I said he was the kindest. I don't remember my exact wording, but I do remember being very careful not to mention his mental state. Instead of applauding his mental state, I was like, "Oh, he's the kindest, and nicest." I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, well, and that's a type of deflection where, like, you say something that's true because I have no doubt you believe Joe Biden is kind, and who knows, maybe one day, once upon a time, he was. So instead of lying, you assert.
I'm talking about what I tweeted that night.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me to put out a message of support, but I couldn't in full good conscience say that he was mentally acute. So I decided to praise his kindness instead.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I mean, like, that's something that I regret.
That's a different type of. I used to practice law for a long time, and that's the adult level of diversion where, in order not to lie, you state an irrelevant truth or an unrelated truth.
And I did that throughout with Biden.
Okay, but you also said, like, that as not as a job as an influencer, because I do take you at your word that you weren't paid for it, but you considered yourself to be a Democrat influencer, and that's how you perceived yourself while you're tweeting.
Yeah, like that was my thing. I did get every day they would give us emails of talking points.
Who's the they?
That was the DNC.
Okay.
Yeah, and eventually the Biden campaign became the DNC. I do really got to go. I really have not slept in 2 days, but are you free sometime next week?
We can definitely continue this because there's much more to flesh out.
Yeah, this is me. Like, look, I'm in my PJs.
But you've done more than you've done. This was, first of all, some people only schedule 30-minute pieces to begin with. So
can you see that I'm literally in my sleeping wear? And this is my bed. Okay, so this is not me copping out from you.
No, don't worry. And I'll flesh out some more. I just want to see if I can remember things before.
All I'm asking for you, David, is to be willing, and you're doing great on that score. I'm so tired. Just willing to hear me out, like be willing.
No, I'm willing to hear.
Because I'm not a cartoon. I'm not, like, people say I'm a fraud, I'm a grifter, and I haven't been paid for any of this. Still waiting for my check, guys. I don't know where it's gonna come.
But anybody who regards themselves as an influencer is going to, that is the currency. So you don't need to get paid if what you get is retweets and adulation from your crowd.
Fine, sure. I got paid in retweets then. Fine.
Well, and when they send you the talking points, are they because we noticed a bunch of tweets, they go out in tandem and they're all virtually identical. Are you cutting and pasting, or do they say make it your own and tweet it?
They say make it your own. Yeah, so so you did notice that a lot of it, yeah. So every time there was like a big event or some major piece of legislation or whatever, they would just send it out and like make it your own. Here's some templates.
All right, it's interesting. We'll have to continue this because I think the main thing that people are going to say is you're coming. I don't know if that's a disrespectful religious expression, but your awakening comes after you lost the election. Had Kamala won, you would have been the star influencer, and who knows what would have been your role in the cabinet. And now, it was one thing you said in Sean Ryan's interview: the next decade you foresee as being the golden age of conservatism, and the Democrat Party is dead. Yeah, something along either verbatim or close enough. I was also not
sleeping last week either, so much of what I said was also in a cloud of haze.
I
to me, agree with that. I do.
No, I know, but that's where my flag goes off. Where if someone who chases the you were happy.
But the thing is, David, I wasn't going to leave until the DNC chair forced me out. Like this is not a choice that I made.
Well, it's not a choice you made, except if you don't see a future in that party. And now, do you plan on running for office again? You ran for office.
No.
So no one will accuse you of thinking.
Someone had to hold me at gunpoint of that. No way. No, I just want to be able. Honestly, I'm even think. Would you guys miss me if I go away for a week? I'm just thinking of like sleeping for a while and just disappearing.
Well, yeah, you have to appreciate the level of resentment or even vitriol that you're going to get is going to be directly proportionate to the amount of vitriol that you've put out over the last 4 years and as recently as 3 months ago. I mean, it's like you can't tweet the things. I've been screen grabbing. You can't tweet the things that you've tweeted out and then expect everybody to say forgive and forget. I mean, when I ran into Ashley Babbitt's mother on a stream when they were releasing the Jan 6 prisoners, and holy cows, you know, there's certain things you cannot unsay even in a fight. And
but David, that's what we were told. You have to believe that this is what we were told, and we
I have no doubt, but
that.
you appreciate that's not going to be a defense to anybody. Like, we were just following orders is exactly how what your grandparents.
It's not even about following orders. It's what the mainstream media told us.
Yeah, and so you had
like
such poor judgment as recently as 2 years ago that,
but
I mean, people can forgive you.
We grew up hailing. David, please give me some credit. We grew up being told that NBC News is the gold standard, that ABC News is the gold standard. Okay, like, this is just American life. I don't know what else to say. I know, but this is not me trying to deceive you. This is just like
that. Well, I'll rephrase it in a way that I think most people are going to. Anyone who wants to forgive you is going to have to phrase it this way. You were, and as we all are at times, a weak person subject to easy manipulation with minimal critical thought, repeating the points that you were saying, regardless of how insulting, damning they were, that they might have actually resulted in people going to jail, losing their lives. And that was it. It was uncritical repetition of what you were told. And that's fine. People are weak and they can get forgiven for that. But then, you know, what they can be trusted for on a going forward basis, that's the question for the person to entrust to the one whom they're forgiving, who they are forgiving.
Okay, I'm not asking for anything from anybody, by the way.
Well, you're right. You are asking for forgiveness because, I mean, I guess technically, I don't know if you say philosophically, if you apologize, you're apologizing, you're not asking for forgiveness. But there's going to be people out there going to say, I'll forgive but not forget. I'll forgive but never trust again. Or I just won't forgive because you can't say the things that you said, take away people's liberties, justify it just because that's what they told us and I wasn't thinking critically.
I wasn't critically in the future. One last thing I'll say, and I really got to go to sleep. Yeah. I wasn't in charge of any sort of policy, to be clear. Like, I wasn't involved in any sort of policy decision making.
No, true. But Enrique Tarrio said something interesting in his press conference where he said what the media said and repeated justified the treatment that people got. So you might not have been in charge of policy, but repeating the lies ad nauseum of an insurrection created a sentiment where people got locked away for 10 plus years. It did. And what, you know, you're a snowflake in that avalanche, but that's an avalanche caused by people.
Okay, well, don't blame me for the entire avalanche when I was also one of the people who were duped.
Well, that's duped by one's own failings is going to be where.
And also like 150 million Americans. So please don't blame me for everything.
No, I think people want to forgive. And I can understand you looking at your Twitter timeline, you want to nuke the entire thing, but you know people are taking screen grabs. And then the risk is people not letting people repent. You know, there's been a number of big conservatives who nobody wants to let them repent for things that they might have done decades ago. And I am, you know, of the opinion you repent, but it takes time and a proof of sincerity.
That's fine. That's actually beautiful. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Well, I do thank you sincerely for coming on. We will do it again. Sleep, and you might want to just stay off social media. I'm not. Look,
it's I just want to say, I think today was the worst day of my life. This is not me. It's really bad.
First of all, you have to understand, I also appreciate that. And then people listening to you are going to say, well, the worst day of Ashley Babbitt's mother's life is watching people call her daughter a terrorist when her daughter was murdered. I mean, I know it's not technically murder. So I have no doubt that you're being sincere now, because this is something of the reckoning of, holy shit, what have I been doing for the last 4 years? Either you're sincere about it or you're not. And if you are sincere, that's it. And if you're not, well, people aren't going to, you know, it doesn't change the reaction you're going to get right now. I am not one that holds grudges because it doesn't feel good to do it. And you are a human at the end of the day who, for opportunism, for influence, or for whatever, did what you did. And it's a lot easier to forgive, just not, you know, fall into the pattern of trusting the people in the future when they did that. But I have no doubt. That's the thing, is I have no doubt. And then people are going to say, well, you know, she's crying. In law, we say if they're crying, they're lying, which typically is true.
I'm not crying right now, by the way. I'm not
well,
crying.
But when people, you know, it's been hard. I have no doubt it's been hard for you, because it's a reckoning for 4 years of what is out there and can never be undone. But I do sincerely thank you for coming on. I didn't in a million years think you would. Do you remember Dr. Eugene Gu by any chance?
No, who's that?
He was one of the damn vax pushing doctors who also had a coming to, a revelation, but he hasn't been online in 2 years. I'm just wondering if anyone in the Democrat Party knows if he's alive or not.
Oh, Eugene, is that the one?
He was the biggest vax pushing apologist. And then at some point,
is he the one who was like crying the sky is falling every day?
No, that might have been I don't want to mention
Ding. That was
I don't want to mention any names if I make a mistake. No, Eugene Gu was the guy who was on his knee doing the Black Lives Matter fist pump.
He came around?
Well, I had him on and we had a great discussion where he's like, I don't know why Pfizer lied. I don't know why CNN lied.
Oh, wow.
And then I haven't heard from him. Like he hasn't been, I haven't seen him on Twitter I don't think he's posted in years.
That's amazing.
No, but I don't know. I'm just hoping he's still alive.
Oh, no. But
Eugene
after I came around on vaccines, I actually refused I refused every vaccination, and I'm sorry that it's not a smarter reason than I love Novak Djokovic, and I listened to what he has to say, and he seemed like if the world's greatest athlete feels this way, then maybe I should look into it. That's really what happened with me.
No, I'll simplify. Your situation is one of three things. You're either a bona fide, unrepentant liar, and this is all a scheme, which I don't think is the case, or you are
that's
easily manipulated. No, I'm going to say some people. You think some people aren't going to think that? I'm telling you what I know people are thinking. Or you are wildly ignorant and display terrible critical thought. Or you were bona fide, you're a reasonable person, but got sucked into a cult. It'll be like on the spectrum of those three things. Do I think you are a bona fide liar? No, because I don't think you would have. Maybe if you are a liar and a narcissist, you come on and try to convince people you're not. So that option's open, but I'm going towards the middle. You are just easily manipulated and can be tricked into doing things. You took the shot thinking it was good. I took the shot because I got a nagging mother who just wouldn't leave me alone, and I was running for office. There were a bunch of other things. But those are the three options in the spectrum of there. But I do seriously thank you for coming on, and we will do it again. But you may have trouble sleeping. I had trouble sleeping one night where I accidentally replied to a 13-year-old kid on Twitter, not realizing they were a kid, and I was honest and in my opinion, I was like, why would you pick on a kid? I was like, why is there a freaking kid on Twitter? And I felt bad for that, and I had trouble sleeping that night. And then the next day, I slept a little better. So you will have a week of bad sleep because you got a more than a week of bad tweets that are probably going to gnaw at your soul for a while. And then the question is going to be, at what point do you forgive? I mean, that's going to be for everyone else out there. And if you don't forgive, then what's the bigger deal than that? You're not working now, I presume, or you same situation, so you're not getting harassed at work.
My greatest goal in life right now is to go to sleep.
Okay,
it's been so rough, so I'm gonna go to sleep, and hopefully, I don't even want to really exist right now. So I'm gonna.
And I'll tell you this also. This is why when I say like it's one thing to be harsh and hold people's feet to the fire, and it's another thing to be unforgiving to the point where they do something terrible to themselves. This too shall pass. No, but this too will pass, and then it'll be a tough period of time. But I don't think you even think it. I don't think you can blame other people for reacting the way they're reacting. But
I'm not blaming anybody right now. To be clear, I'm not casting blame. You know that, right?
Well, no, I no, it's not. It's I'm not casting blame, but the easiest thing to say is I was the victim. No, I know, but the easiest thing and probably the I don't want to say the healthiest. The reaction, the reflex is going to be for you to say, I didn't know it was wrong when I did it. I sincerely believed it when I did it, and that's either true or not.
You may not believe that, but that is the truth.
No, I agree, and it's either true or not. And if it's true, if it's not true, it means you're a liar. That's bad. And if it is true, it means you're easily manipulated, and that's also bad, but not unforgivable.
Is it easily manipulated, or if it was a result of a lifetime of?
I don't know. That's where people can say, were you in a bona fide cult? Are you, is it the cult typically involves blackmail? Yeah.
I went to college at 17. I went to an extremely liberal university. I ended up working for an extremely liberal firm, and I live in an extremely liberal city. This is just the reality I know.
But also you seem like you might have high levels of intelligence in certain respects. I didn't get into how going to college at 17, I guess, means something, but But anyway, so go to sleep. Thank you for coming on. We'll do a part 2 and we can have proper lighting and I get the other thing is
this is the darkest interview I've ever done.
I don't know.
First of all, guys, this is you can see my teddy bear up there.
My thing about your interview with Sean Ryan is like, it's funny listening to you saying these things that seem to be new to you, but that a lot of people paying attention have known for not the vax stuff, but Paul, the whole campaign stuff. I didn't hear anything, new, but truly insider, previously undisclosed information. So that's what I'll hope to try to get out of you the next time, because we'll do it, because I'm interested in the campaign from an actual practical perspective. But okay. I'll tell you what, I don't like holding grudges. I think you are, in fact, in one way or another, in a bad place in terms of the backlash you're going to get, which is absolutely understandable, and I would even say justifiable given some of the tweets that you had. But you'll have to, on the one hand, forgive yourself, which is going to probably be difficult as well, assuming you're sincere, and allow others to forgive you, which is going to take more than coming around in the last 3 months after the party loses and saying, I want in with the other party that I see a golden age for a decade. But the Chinese spy stuff, I'm not. Call me what you want. I'm not going down the I don't buy into the Chinese spy stuff. But you will have people who think that this is either an infiltration or who the heck is going to.
Yeah, that I'm sorry, that I'm not willing to engage on, because that's outright defamation. That my lawyer will handle. This stuff, I'm happy to talk with you. That Chinese spy shit stuff, the regime that murdered my family, there's no room for compromise on that. That I will not move an inch on. That is
that is legally you might you'll get your lawyer, I think, when someone says,
well, it's outright defamation, and they so
no, or it's a matter of, or it's an opinion. I mean, this is like when
it's outright defamation. Hegseth's, I've hired Trump's and Hegseth's lawyer. This is not in dispute. It's defamation, and it's actionable. So anyway, but what I mean is, I'm willing to have a conversation on everything else.
Well, for goodness sake, 45 minutes is already more than Kamala gave to Joe Rogan. So
I'm not Kamala Harris and her word salads. I'm a human being, and I'm always happy to have a conversation. And thank you for opening your door to me.
Well, yeah, and
I tried to knock on your door last night, but you didn't.
I don't have notifications turned on, so I
don't either. So I didn't even see your tweets until 1 a.m.
No, well, anyways, people don't understand this. There's nothing I said in my tweets that I would not say to your face, that I haven't said to your face. You've said some things on Twitter that, at least to the people who are directly affected, they're going to be unforgivable, even if you were in a cult. But you're not getting what you deserve, but you are certainly reaping what you sow in terms of some of the tweets. And then the only question is, people are going to come to their own individual opinions as to whether or not you're sincere, whether or not you deserve, whether or not they are prepared to forgive you, and to what extent. But the openness is, you can never argue with openness, because coming on, even if you are a liar, to potentially be exposed as a liar is already a brave one at that. So, Lindy, let's do it again next week. Rest up, and I would suggest stay off social media, because I've now satisfied my own curiosity, but the internet is going to be scouring your timeline for even worse tweets. But I think we got the worst of them. But yeah, I guess I'll do a poll in the chat and see what people think afterwards. But Lindy, let's do it again next week if you can, and we'll talk about the campaign.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you for reminding me. I got to go get something for my wife. What day is it today? It's tomorrow. I got a cool 24 hours, people.
Take care.
All right, go for it. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was interesting, people. Let me see something. I got the super chats here. There's some that I'm really going to get to that are funny. But let me start with Guy. Let me start with Rachel Levine. Hold on. I didn't want to start with that one. I wanted to start with this one. You bash her. Meanwhile, the right has been infiltrated by the left. You bash her, who has no power, and praise the neocons. You're the exact same. I praise the neocons. I bash her. She has no power. First of all, not to give Lindy more power than she has. When you're raising tens of millions of dollars for the election of demented Joe and then cackling Kamala, don't tell me she had no power. And also, I'm not bashing her. I am bringing to her. I'm questioning on her on the tweets that she's put out. And I think, if someone amassed my most awful tweets, I know what they are. And that, by and large, are just crass and crude, and they use the F word and whatever. You won't. I don't. And maybe I'll call people scoundrels, liar, but not maybe I do. But yeah, I'm not bashing her, and I would not consider anyone bashing me if they said, Viva, hey, come on, let's talk about how you call Justin Trudeau a piece of shit. But then also, your backhanded compliments are sleazy too, Fry. Well, thank you very much. Your super chats are amazingly insightful. All right, that was funny anyhow. I don't know what Noalm her means. Noalm her. I don't know what that means. Let's go up to the top here. So first of all, by the way, sorry about the intro, but apparently I guess she couldn't get onto the Rumble studio, and so I had to end the stream and start it on StreamYard so that she can access it. But tech issue, which had we had time to prepare for this, had I known, could have done it this morning. I'm actually very surprised that she came on. And but for saying she's a liar, she got paid. She answered, and even if you take all of her answers as truthful and honest, then you still end up with legitimate critique against how she did what she did. So you don't even have to assume that she's a liar. And then some people out there saying, look, people have their revelations. True. But I'll say it again, your revelation and your being welcomed in, it's got to be directly correlative to the level and duration of the transgression. And J.D. Vance at one point in 2016 saying Trump has, authoritarian or Hitlerian tendencies. Big effing deal. That's 8 years ago, and that's in a different world. And that, who else? Whatever. Okay. Shay. Eric Sean. This is the same lady that went from being a radical leftist calling Trump R word. What is R? Retarded? Insurrectionist, threat to democracy, literally on election night, to overnight being red-pilled. I don't know if this is a judgmental in the affirmative sense or judgmental in the negative sense. Red pill typically means it's authentic, legitimate awakening. I think many people are saying this is opportunistic and insincere. I'm not sure where I stand on this now. Viva, she went hard for what she believes in. It takes guts to admit you are wrong, especially when you really believed a lie. I'm very sensitive to that. And when someone comes out and say, even if they're lying, like, all right, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry for what I did. You're lying. Well, but then you're the asshole that's not forgiving someone. What movie was it from? It's Fight Club. That's 3 times. Someone apologizes 3 times. You've got to accept their apology. It doesn't mean if someone says, I'm sorry for killing your dog, that you go then let them become your dog walker. That's my point. I'll forgive you, but I won't let you walk my dog again if the last time you walked the dog, you let him eat some poison or let him off a leash and he got hit by a car. I don't know what this one means, and I didn't get to ask it, but maybe next time I'll screen grab that. What do we got here? Viva, honestly, your intro sucked. Dude, of course it sucked today because I had a technical issue because we had a last-minute interview that I actually was more than happy to end the first stream and start a new one. Actually shocked it went down. Meh. Prefer her on our side. Hope she learns and grows. Don't care for her opinions. Her insight into the corruption of the other side is useful. Well, Adventures of Oreo, this is where my issue is. Not that it wasn't insightful. It was nothing new. Like it's what she's describing on Sean Ryan, we've all known for a long time. And then the question is going to be, did she know it and conceal it? And had Kamala Harris won, she would have been reaping in the benefits of that? Or did she realize just how bad it was after they lost when she thought they would win? Is this like a we thought she would win moment of, is it Akira? Well, whatever. Okay, so we got that one. Thank you for that. And I'm going to get to Rumble and the other ones. The mental gymnastics here is impressive. I doubt she is as naive as she wants to come across as, but certainly has burned down all her bridges. I wish her well, but doubt she is being completely honest with Viva. I think she was being pretty sufficiently honest. What do we got here? You basher, I got this one. Get that one out. Get this one out. Noalm, I don't know what that means yet or still. And then we got Life of Brian. Lindy Li is a Krasenstein tier malicious partisan hack. I'd rather have Cenk and his horse. It's tough. I've never seen Cenk on the verge of tears and apologize. But I appreciate the sentiment. Okay, now what I want to do here, and then we're going to go and actually, oh shoot, I haven't had this open here. Okay, we got, oh, look what I got. No, I feel at the end of the day, she's a human. I mean, and she hasn't been murdering puppies, but some of the stuff, I'm not being hyperbolic. Some of the stuff, tweeting about insurrectionists, terrorists, etc., influences the court of public opinion, influences the DC public opinion, where people end up going to jail for a very long time because they feel morally justified in locking up terrorists. So it's not without consequence, but true. She's not killing puppies. Trumpet says, I love this. Just having this interview is the beginning of many more waking overnight. May my children do the same, says Trumpet. Trumpet, I know who you are. Let me screen grab this so I can get back to you after this. If you're the same Trumpet that I think you are, how you doing, Trumpet? Get back to eating health by adding some tasty, high-protein biltong to your diet, packed with B12, iron, zinc, creatine, and much more. Get some at biltongusa.com. Use code VIVA for 10% off. Eric 4x4 says, so Crowder has premium where I can watch the normal stream, then go directly to the after show. Tim Pool has premium where I can do the same. When is Viva going to have that? Nothing against locals. I have to figure out how to do that without it. There has to be a way to do that where both locals and Rumble Premium are going to get the same thing. But then I'm going to screen grab this because I actually have that question. Locals is our premium, but then premium also exists on Rumble. I'm going to have to figure out how to reconcile those two things and figure it out in real time. Now, speaking of that, let me go over. Are we on the wrong one? Which one was it? It was this one. Okay, good. I think Live with Lindy Li. I think this is the one. Okay, let's tipped questions over in Viva Barnes Law.local. I think this has to be the live one. Yeah, this is the live one. I'm going to close this one down. All right, hold up. And then we're gonna end on Comedy Tube. We're gonna go over and have some fun. Well, I'm not gonna go through my tweets because I was just documenting the her tweet history. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this. Okay, so we got Along the River 365, $1 says proses with caution with this snake fever. I've said what I have to say. Like, I can forgive, but for the transgression, the question is going to be: I would never rely on her political assessments. I'm not going to destroy a person the way some people try to destroy other people on the internet. Snake is a snake. Snake, do not give her the 15 minutes of fame she so desires. We already know the information she is sharing. She is a snake fever. That is Along the River. Again, Along the River. Viva, be the one to bury. I'm not out here to destroy anybody. I'm here only to ask the questions that should be asked. The answers will be absorbed by the public the way they're going to be absorbed. Outlook.com says, never have her after this. Along the River 365. Exactly correct. There is no urgency to her message. And now she's saying, I was so tired. I don't want to have to post it. Go away for her. Okay. Damn Viva. Sheesh. LOL. Buffalo Betsy. Buffalo Betsy says, I want to believe her. I think believing what she believed was easy, and maybe it was intellectual laziness and convenience. Immature, yes. Lazy, yes. But it's kind of like being the popular girl and just going along with it. It would be harder to stick to going along now. It's a convenient time to get away from it, so maybe opportunistic of her. No, the only real question is what things that were said can you forgive her for? Calling Trump a stochastic terrorist, big fucking deal. Trump is a politician, fair game. What was the other one? Calling Kyle Rittenhouse a killer out looking for trouble. I mean, okay, people who don't understand things can have that opinion. What were some of the other ones? I mean, it's just, but it was endless. It was endless. The one where it's, where you're getting into the territory of victimizing victims by calling Ashley Babbitt a terrorist. I mean, okay, fine. No, I have no doubt if she's sincere, she'll regret that forever. I still regret a joke I made to my brother 20 years later. I still regret a joke I made to my father when we had a dinner at a restaurant with one of his clients. And the clients, because you're a stupid kid, you don't know anything. They're clients of his, they're clients and friends, and we go beautiful 12-course meal dinner, and then we say thank you for the dinner. I say, yeah, especially because it's free. And then later that night, but you know this story. Dad calls me into his bedroom. He's like, when you go out, do you try to make me look good or bad? Like, when you say thank you for something being free, do you think that makes me look good? And then it's like, oh my God. It's like, oh, it's so stupid. 30 years late. How old am I? 35 years later. Ugh, still cringe at that. What was the other one? That doesn't matter. There's a couple. Confrontation can be powerful, says Boopsy. Boopsy says, you did a good thing bringing her on the show. Who knows how it can affect her? She did say this is the worst day of her life anyway. No, we believe your vaccination status confession. We're genuine, says Recortes. No, okay. First of all, it's like we're still live across all the platforms right now. When I got the shot, people are going to say, you get the shot, you're participating in the program. So even though you steadfastly and vigorously defended everybody's right not to get vaccinated, you complained and criticized against the vaccine mandates and all of it, even though you did all of that, the fact that you did that for whatever your reasons well, you played along with it, and that's bullshit. Okay, when I took it, I was concerned about the potential side effects because there was the woman in Quebec, Johnson & Johnson. She died after having it. My wife was that age. I was like, don't get the Johnson & Johnson. We knew there were risks. The question is, you weigh the risks, and then you weigh, having parents who are old, have underlying conditions. At that time, sincerely thought it might be good, and probably still do. Dr. Drew Pinsky still thinks the initial iteration was good. So, okay, fine. I'm a 45-year-old man. It's not, if it affects my testes, I've already had my kids. It's not going to affect my heart. Even then, the issue was, more for young people. So I took my risks. Would I want to have been the radical online guy who people say he was playing in the park with the kids, the daycare, and one of the kids got sick and died? Do I want whether or not it does anything? I didn't really realize how much damage it can do. That was my thought process. Placate concerned elderly people, and take my risks with that. People are going to, do you want to, that's it, period. Viva's neurotic as hell, so I wasn't shocked he got the vaccine. Viva is neurotic as hell, so I wasn't shocked he got the vaccine, Express being in Canada. So that informed choice, I just, my thing is I didn't know how terrible how damaging it could be. But then again, I wasn't even of the demographic that was at risk at the time. There was women for clots, and then there was young people. But then it's like, oh yeah, very rare. 1 in 100,000. 1 in 100,000 to, it was 1 in a million. 1 in 100,000. Now it's down to 1 in 2,000. But that's it. Well, first, don't worry, Viva. Most of us aren't upset. It doesn't matter. You could be upset for all you want. First of all, it's my body, it's my heart, it's my issues that I have to go, check up with a doctor and say, like, did I actually damage myself in order to whatever? But then again, life is cost, benefit, risk, reward analysis. Buffalo Betsy says we are all worthy of grace and mercy, even if undeserving. To forgive doesn't necessarily mean to trust. Buffalo Betsy that is my philosophy. That's my understanding. All right. So what we're going to do now, we're on stream. Let's go on over to Rumble. Oh, but with the after party on Locals, we're going to have a good one. It will be for everybody, not just supporters, because that's the one thing about link to Locals. Is this Locals that I'm putting up here? Yeah, come to Locals. And if you're on Rumble, no, sorry, not if you're on Rumble. If you're on CommieTube, oh, have I not opened up the CommieTube? Great. Didn't open up the CommieTube. I didn't put the link there. Now nobody's going to know to come here. Link here. And then I also I'll have to do my ad read tomorrow. That was on the first stream. So here, come on over to Rumble. And let me just do one thing before we do that. I'm going to end the stream right here. Anyways, I understand people don't want to hear her, but I think everybody should be heard. Even if you think she's a liar. If you think she's a liar, you want her to talk. Obviously. I'm not... my bottom line. My bottom line is it is very easy for people to say, like, I didn't know how much I didn't know how much I spent. I didn't know how much I was losing at the. It's very easy for people to make excuses for themselves after they appreciate the damage they've done. But yeah. My ex was a lawyer like you, a slimy pontificator. I can't tell if this person's joking. By the way, yeah, you're right. 95% of the lawyers give the other 5% a bad name. And I think I'm still a lawyer, but I'm not a member of the bar. So I guess I'm not one of them slimy pontificators anymore, but I am a philosophizer. So, all right, we're going to end it on CommieTube. Come on over to Rumble, and we'll talk about the news of the day, RFK Jr. getting confirmed, and Kash Patel hearing, and some other stuff. I got a ton of stuff in the backdrop that we didn't even get to because I had a whole show scheduled because I didn't know that Lindy Li was going to come on.